Gun violence is a problem plaguing our nation. Each year, thousands of innocent people will die from guns. On April 20th, 1999, at Columbine High School, two students of the high school, who were also perpetrators in this attack, walked in with a semi-automatic pistol and a high-point carbine rifle, both bought legally, and took the lives of 13 classmates. Virginia Tech, April 16th, 2007. 32 innocent people lost their lives after a lone gunman perpetrated the attack with legally obtained firearms. July 20th, 2012, one gunman walks into a theater in Aurora, Colorado, and kills 12 people with several semi-automatic weapons he all bought legally. And then, on December 14th, 2011, the gun violence that was seen throughout the country for years finally came on our doorstep.
A deadly shooting at an elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut. That's about 24 miles northwest of New Haven. We do not know the gunman's identity or motive or if he acted alone. This all began just after 9:30 Eastern Time this morning at the Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. The school has kindergarten through fourth grade students, and the children are ages 5 through 10.
The majority of those who died today were children. Beautiful little kids between the ages of 5 and 10 years old. They had their entire lives ahead of them. Birthdays, graduations, weddings, kids of their own. We've endured too many of these tragedies in the past few years. And each time I learn the news, I react not as a president, but as anybody else would, as a parent. And that was especially true today.
That day, 26 innocent people lost their lives, 20 of which were between the ages of 6 and 7 years old. As students going to school in Connecticut, this event would change the way we view getting an education. The safe feeling we felt anytime we were within the walls of our schools had disappeared. And almost 5 years later after the Newtown massacre, Connecticut students still don't feel safe in their schools. This is why Justin and I felt so compelled to make a civic action plan that addresses gun violence in the state of Connecticut. Our school is extremely close to where the Newtown massacre took place, and students of Madison High School should not have to fear another Newtown massacre-style attack happening on our school. So, to accomplish this, Justin and I proposed a plan to ban all assault rifles in the state of Connecticut and overall impose more gun control within the state. So, to accomplish this, we spoke to State Senator Ted Kennedy Jr. to propose our plan to him and see what he had to say. After organizing this phone call with the state senator, we first asked him his opinions on assault rifles.
These assault type of weapons there's only one purpose of these weapons, and that is to shoot as many people in a short amount of time as possible. So I don't see any need for anyone to have to own there's no sporting purpose to it. It's not, people are not going hunting with these things. They're not trying to protect their home with these weapons. They're just, extremely dangerous weapons that are just meant to kill another human being. And so that's why I object to those types of weapons.
I then brought up Justin and I's first civic action plan to see if there was any chance of him bringing this up during the next congressional session.
The banning of assault weapons, the limitation of the size of the magazines, and background checks. So, most recently, in this past session in 2016, and so, before I get into that, I don't expect that the General Assembly is really going to take up this issue, because we've already sort of debated and, passed these issues, and that was very contentious, and a lot of it was very politically difficult to do that. So I don't think there's going to be another effort.
Even though he agreed with us, State Senator Kennedy informed us that it would be highly unlikely for a new gun debate to be brought up within the state Senate. This is due to last congressional session, the state Congress agreed to ban only some assault rifles, extended mags, and have more universal background checks on gun purchases. However, as the conversation concluded, Senator Kennedy brought up one point that stunned Justin and I.
That every Connecticut student has access to mental health services. So we haven't done that. We've actually cut mental health services for kids. So I think truly what we need to do is to make sure that, there are professionals in every single school. Madison, I know, has, counselors and whatnot. There are other communities, though, that do not have, school counselors, right? So that is a major problem that I think that every school should have a school counselor there to be able to identify kids that are stressed out and depressed and, are at risk for doing dangerous things.
So after this phone conversation, Justin and I created a second civic action plan in which we hope to push for a budget in which mental health programs are installed for every Connecticut school, not just schools that are in a well-off town. It is completely unfair for towns such as Darien, Greenwich, and Madison to have mental health programs and guidance counselors for students, when inner-city schools such as Bridgeport or New Haven public schools do not have these sorts of programs. These mental health programs are absolutely key to combating gun violence in the state of Connecticut. If the perpetrator of the Newtown massacre had been in mental health programs, the attack might not have happened, since these people who are mentally ill and committing gun violence throughout the state of Connecticut and nationwide are mentally ill and do not have help. So we set out to meet with our elected official in person and talk to him about balancing a budget so that we can allocate more money into mental health programs so that every school within the state of Connecticut has these mental health programs and guidance counselors. Do you think that this idea has any possibility of passing through the state?
Like a Vermont type of thing? I think it's an idea that's worth debating. Again, I think the communities whose taxes are likely to go up are probably not going to like it. The people whose taxes are likely to go down are probably going to love that idea. And I think people around here probably won't care one way or the other because it's not going to have a big impact. Do you see what I mean? So I don't, everything is, controversial, especially in the education world.
Even though he admitted it would be complicated to pass, Senator Ted Kennedy agreed to try and bring it up during the next congressional session in January.
Well, Justin and Theo, it's been really great to be here with you this afternoon to discuss the complicated issue of gun violence in Connecticut. As we know, Connecticut has made great strides in trying to restrict access to high-capacity magazines and the weapons that are really the most destructive. So we should be proud of what we've been able to do. We haven't done enough, and I really thank you, and I thank Madison High School for really taking on this issue to learn more about what we can do to make our schools safer. And I think you guys have really done a great job in researching some of the different alternatives, more services to students that may have emotional or mental health issues, to just educating the general public about why we tend to be so violent in our society. So thank you very much for taking the time to meet with me. Good luck in your classes and in all your future endeavors.